Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Oh, it's the pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, chat. Welcome to the stream, episode 106 of Double Feature Horror Show. If you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed the new intro, let's have that like doused in 2,4,5 trioxin. Maybe take that subscribe button and smash a giant pickaxe right into its head.
I'm more of a paraformaldehyde kind of guy.
Nice. You're always classy like that, TCG.
Oh,
Always
yeah.
classy.
Oh yeah.
I had fun with that one. I had fun with that, with the jankiest attempt at making a home rig for smooth motion.
I thought that came out pretty well, actually. That was really good.
Yeah, I like it. Oh man, I should have taken a photo of my setup to be like the most Aldi steady cam attempt ever.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, good times, good times. Well, hello chat. It's good to see so many of you in here. I know this is a popular one to cover. Popular with us, clearly. I don't think massively popular in the world of horror criticism. That surprised me when I was looking at this.
Okay.
Yeah, shocking. Not many of my books even discuss this film. And the one that does, not a big fan of it.
Oh really? Well,
yeah.
I might be a bit controversial tonight, but we'll see.
You're welcome. You're very welcome to. Well, I should, of course, introduce you. Oh, and not knock anything over. Before we get into it, we want to do this properly, because, oh dear. Because he's going to rock this club. He's going to go all night. He's going to light it up like it's dynamite. It's TCG.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another round of horror feature double show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and make it a thing now where I just get the name of the stream wrong every week. Let's see how far we can go with it.
We're getting spoonerisms and all kinds of distortion. I'm a fan of it. We can go borderline surreal with this. Well, folks, yeah, we are going to be covering the cult classic Return of the Living Dead from 1985, a film with quite a bizarre history. And something that I absolutely love about this, on this rewatch, I solved a mystery. Which I'm going to leave you hanging on. Yeah, about another film. There's something really weird in another film from 1993. And after rewatching this, it made sense. It made sense to me. We'll get into it.
Right,
it's a little bit of a spicy topic, and YouTube might slap me down for featuring it.
I am I am intrigued. I am intrigued.
But before we get into that, we'll do a little bit of shilling. We'll do a quick topic because there's some really good news in the world of horror. And then we'll get into the film. So first, any shilling from you, TCG? Dropped any really interesting videos about serial Black Widows, maybe? Anything like that recently?
Funnily enough, I did, yeah. On Monday, I released a video which was recommended to me by regular guest of this stream, Mergu, who is in the chat. It is the Black Widow, Judy Bueno Arno. Mate, her surname, because I do not have like the mouth muscles to do like Spanish lingo. And it took me ages to be able to pronounce Bueno Arno. And in fact, if you go back and watch my video, all right, the first time I say Bueno Arno, and that's not how you say it. But just ignore that and then just enjoy the rest. And also ignore the ignition. Ignore the bit where The B-roll shows a man starting his car with an ignition button when I'm talking about a story that took place in the 1980s. Just ignore that. But
A
otherwise,
little bit of anachronistic B-roll,
yeah.
I'll allow it.
Otherwise solid. Otherwise a solid drop. But yeah, and obviously tomorrow as well, we're going to be doing a live stream over on my channel as well. Horrorshow will be there, as will Mergoot, Denzil, and Shrouded Hand. We're going to be mixing it up this month. We're not going to be doing a community quiz as such, but we're actually going to be doing a game show, one that died out in the mid to late noughties, which was a show called Game Show. It was a game show called Golden Balls.
Show.
The big game. Yeah, it was. I don't know where that came from, but no, so it's Golden Balls. If you don't know, there's plenty of episodes on YouTube to look up to familiarise yourself with, but it is an absolutely brutal game show. Highly loved it when it was on, and I'm really hoping that people enjoy it tomorrow. It's a lot of work that's gone on to get this built on my OBS, and as many regular live stream viewers on my channel will know, I am a bit of a boomer, so I am one part excited, one part dreading it. So stick around, join us.
Yeah, definitely do. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m, TCG's channel. We're going to have fun. It's always a good laugh on the community quiz. And I'm wanting to see how much boomering we get. It's going to be great.
I hope none, but this is, something will happen.
As for me, let's do some rapid fire shilling. So something that went quite well, I dropped a video on Terrifier from 2016. People wanted to know my take on Terrifier. I was baffled and bemused, and my analysis reflects that. I have analysed Terrifier using 3 different types of piss. That is actually how I've done it. Trust me, it'll make sense in the video. It's classier than you think. And something that's a bit of a throwback that someone reminded me of. I had a comment kind of out of nowhere on one of the really old videos, one of my early effort posts, called Saw 3 is pretty great, actually. I took a long time trying to revitalize Saw 3 and stand up for it and show people, actually, that film's kind of cool and there's a lot going on in it. And also filled it with the usual puerile jokes that I love to. And someone commented on this because this got no views, but I still love it. So if you go into my best of playlist, current channel favorites, you can find Saw 3 is pretty great, actually. And if you want a little bit more proper horror show this week, give that a watch. That's probably all the shilling I'm going to do for the moment. And otherwise, I think, shall we get into the topic and some really good news?
Let's do it. I'm excited to hear about this good news. I'm more excited to hear about this mystery you've solved.
Oh, I'll get into it. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. You've seen the film that it relates to as well.
Oh, okay.
We've covered it.
Right. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I might know. I'll hold fire.
What do you reckon? You see this, everyone? The Wicker Man is coming back. This is a weird title for this article, but BBC, what are you going to do? What do you mean Wicker Man has divided opinion? Everyone loves it. Anyone who counts loves this film.
Look, if you're not pro burning witches, then what's the matter with you?
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, so this takes a long way to say that The Wicker Man is getting a new documentary made about it from the sons of the director Robin Hardy, which is quite sweet. You've got where are they? Nice photo of them there. That's the director's sons. They're doing a documentary about The Wicker Man. Still a cult horror film, still something we love. Something I was very happy to cover on the channel recently for 100th episode. I saved something special for that one. And that's kind of interesting. We noted when we covered it that the film is 50 years old this year. And the real news from this, the news I'm absolutely delighted by the way, all the details in this, if you watched our stream, you'll know them because we do our research for this. Honest, I bet they watched our stream and then just ripped off all the points from it.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Actually, you're not giving yourself enough credit. To be fair, you do all the research. we're just tasked with watching a film and turning up and giving low IQ opinions.
Oh, no. Here we go. The real news in this, the thing that got me really excited, why I was just stunned that there's something good on the BBC. I nearly said BBFC out of habit. Is this news that they buried? Where have they got it? Oh, they buried it. I'll find it in a second. Okay, I'll cut to the chase so I don't keep waffling on. There you go. There is a restored 4K version of The Wicker Man. It is getting a release in June.
Nice.
Yes. So you will remember when we covered it at TCG, some of the footage was a little bit, how can we say, janky.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Some lovely stuff, some disturbing close-ups of snails were shot with intense noise. It looked like it'd been taped off Channel 4 in the 90s. That's because obviously the Wicker Man was cut up and sent all over the place and readjusted time and time again, and lost footage was recovered that was just on tape copies. So the video quality is not consistent. What I'm really hoping for is that this 4K version has had a fair bit of algorithmic enhancement so they can work around issues with the original tape. And I'm also going to be wondering, what version are they showing? Because as you all know, The Wicker Man, lots of versions of it exist.
We saw the whole version, didn't we? We had the full.
We saw the longest commercially available version.
Yeah.
There was a 99-minute version that was sent to Roger Corman in pre-release, but we do not have a copy of that. We have a, I think, 93-minute version.
What if?
I'm crossing my fingers. It would be some amazing news. So that might be the kind of news that could get you into the cinema in 2023. How about it? I'll also just mention here a massive thank you early for a pre-stream super chat from Jay Weatherford. Thank you very much for $10. I don't know if you're in at the moment, but whenever you come back, thanks. That's much appreciated.
Bless you, man.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a lovely pre-stream, it's a bonus. And I also saw an early one, Vinyl Morpheus, $4.99. Thank you ever so much. And yeah, that is a bit of a sad story you've highlighted there. That message might sound weird to anyone who didn't do the horror homework. Suicide is the name of the character. Neil Mohan's going to love that one, isn't he? Yeah.
We're going to have to replace his name throughout the stream just to make sure this remains monetized.
Yeah. Keep those Fs coming for self-delete. And I don't know if that's also a tribute to the real life guy, Vinyl Morpheus. The actual actor had a bit of a bad time there. Mark Venturini, yeah. Guy died tragically young. He was 35.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's rotten. It's absolutely rotten. And not through sort of usual Hollywood misadventure. He got sick, unfortunately.
Bless.
Yeah, bless him. So that's definitely worth an F in the chat for a guy who is quite interesting in this. You might not be as impressed by him in his other major role, which I can just bring up for you now. You'll recognise him, TCG. Where's my boy?
I'm just looking up IMDb now. I think I already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What masterpiece is this, TCG?
It's Friday the 13th, part 5.
Nailed it in one. Absolutely. Yeah, I can just about recognise him. I'm not good with facial recognition, but he's a bulky dude in all of them. I think this was actually the same year, come to think of it.
83, yeah, it was, yeah. Was it 83? It was 83, wasn't it?
This was...
83? Oh, 1985. 85,
there
sorry.
We go. Fun fact: if you don't know this, folks, Friday the 13th is what TCG and I actually kind of bonded over.
Yeah, me and my wife absolutely love this. Love the series, and and you and your wife feel the same too. Some highs and lows, but overall,
yeah. Also, I can't unsee this.
Oh no,
That's a good shout. Actually, that is a good shout.
Don't tell my wife. She loves Kevin Bacon.
Oh, Kevin Bacon. Oh dear. We'll move on anyway. Thank you so much for early super chat. So much appreciated. I'll tell you what, I'm on a roll. I'll do a little bit of a shill. Since we're on YouTube and it is the land of the shilling, I will say that if you want to support the channel, obviously super chats are open. But if you want to keep your heavily inflated dollars or pounds out of the pockets of Neil Mohan, formerly Susan, formerly Chucks, you can support me over at Subscribestar via tips or joining up. And if you join as a member either here or on Subscribestar, you will get access to exclusive content, including what should I name? We did a very recent stream. We did a bonus video on Tales of the Unexpected because there were just too many cool episodes. So we did a stream on another 3 episodes of that. And there's also a video responding to the Critical Drinkers What is Woke video that I felt was not a good video, but I also felt it was a bit mean, so I didn't put it on YouTube. So you can watch that if you join as a member. Anyway, that is enough shilling for me because I'm very awkward doing it. Anyway, I see people are having fun with the YouTube workarounds.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what, chat. Why don't you give us some suggestions to for this character name? Like I say, just to appease the YouTube gods. I was thinking Cletus Self Deletus.
We could go for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see what chat comes up with. I'm also genuinely interested. Like you know how you have sort of patois or slang speak to get around. Like you've got wrestling speak. You know, kayfabe, marks, smarks, workers, jobbers, all sort of semi-secret language. Do you think the kind of weird self-censorship that we do to get around YouTube will become a slang in its own right?
Oh, it's going to have to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it, like the whole in Minecraft thing. That's very much a slang thing outside. Well, I suppose you could say that, couldn't you? The whole in Minecraft thing is kind of a cultural signifier now, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw someone refer to someone who had been deleted from the life server. They were just called them. They got Minecrafted. Just horse gets Minecrafted.
Poor Minecraft.
Doesn't deserve it, but cracks me up. Cracks me up indeed. All right. Well, we've had our topic. We shilled a fair bit. 24 of you in here, much appreciated. So let's. There's no reason not to have 24 likes on this stream. So get smashing that. It'll be much appreciated.
How many are you seeing? I'm seeing 12, but then I haven't refreshed in a while. Likes. That is.
I'm seeing 11, folks. Pick it up. Also, Richard, you've caught me with this before. Nice try. And I know your birthday's coming up, mate. We're just going to have to probably say happy birthday to you every week until we get it. And you know it's in May. We'll be within the error margin. Okay. All right, folks. Very quick one. This is Return of the Living Dead, which I imagine a fair number of you are familiar with. It is from 1985. It is an unlikely film from an unlikely creator. And I am going to say it's fairly unappreciated. This is from the mind behind Alien. Hang on. The Henry Ebb's got it.
I like it.
Can we have a zombie voice version of that TCG? Go on.
Send more likes.
Excellent. Yeah, this is This is from Dan O'Bannon, a chap who had a fair old difficult time in Hollywood. I think it's fair to say a man who was pretty much screwed over by the system and not very appreciative of it, even though he's brought a lot of cult joy to many people. This is a guy who wrote Alien. This is a guy who wrote Life Force, which we also covered and had a really good time with. He also has a thing for just amazing, astounding amounts of completely unnecessary nudity. Just both this and Life Force, if you remember.
Have we covered Life Force?
Oh, were you on for it?
I don't think
maybe you weren't on for it. That was space vampires, one of whom is played by a French ballerina who goes around absolutely starkers.
Oh my god.
The other one looks like Ben Shapiro. It's an amazing movie.
Oh no, I don't think I was. It's got Patrick Stewart in it. Oh no, maybe I was. I can't remember.
Yeah, it had a yes. We covered Life Force because of you, and it was a very good suggestion.
Oh no, wait, I did. I remember that one now. Yes, yes. I remember this one.
Same guy. It's like, it amazes me that it is the same chap who has written all three.
Oh, you can actually. I'm just looking at the photos now of Life Force. When did this come out? Same year. Bloody hell, 85. Just looking at one of the photos of like the vampire, like with the dried up flesh, and you can really see the Return of the Living Dead aesthetic in like the facial features and.
Totally.
Wow.
So that just amazes me that the guy is able to do these completely different movies. And I think something else you're going to see from Return of the Living Dead is Dan O'Bannon is kind of sick of the Hollywood regime. He is not a fan of it. He drops some interesting language in interviews where he mostly says he wants to break out of patterns. And Return of the Living Dead, as odd as it is makes a lot of sense if you view it as a film basically rebelling against zombie movies, rebelling against what was being set as like the genre standard in its own way, and really wanting to do something fresh and new and completely different.
Yeah, he certainly did that with this one.
Yes.
I want to test your knowledge here because you're the horror guru. Was this the film that popularised the whole zombies eating brains thing?
100%.
It was, wasn't it? I knew it.
Contrary to what you may read, it is not the first film to do the running zombies, but in fairness, running zombies came earlier in the 70s. In a really small film, it's Something of the Dead. It's slipping my mind, I'm afraid. A couple of others have done it actually, but at the time you got to remember that you didn't have an internet to get easy access to everything, so it's very likely that Dan O'Bannon hadn't seen those movies. And the real reason he's doing it is just he wants to break away from Romero. So we get running zombies, we get talking zombies, we get the zombies eating brains. We get a completely different origin story for them. We get people actually saying the word zombies. Weirdly enough, as we get early on, we get the fact that in the world of Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead exists and is a movie.
Not only that, but they do talk about Romero as well. Because they use his movie as kind of like the blueprint on how to take out the zombies, but obviously, as you find out later on, it doesn't work. No, actually, go one step further. Night of the Living Dead was apparently based on a true story that actually happened, which, oh yeah,
I mean they do have the absolute cheek to open with where is it?
Yeah, this is based on a true. Yeah,
I love it.
Oh. I love that bit. I love that. I think I sent you a screenshot as well, didn't I? I was like, "Oh my god, we're in for a ride." There is
fun in this, as tongue-in-cheek as it is. There's a little bit of a message in this film that is quite interesting. It's very cynical, and I quite like it. I also throw out some interesting backstory to this. This is called Return of the Living Dead. And it references Night of the Living Dead. But Romero, what's his sequel to Night of the Living Dead?
Dawn of the Dead?
Nailed it. Yes.
Boom.
So we go from Living Dead to Dead, and then Day of the Dead, and then the very weird Land of the Dead.
Oh, I remember that one.
What's with the rebranding? That's a little weird, right? So there's a story behind that.
Okay.
This is a weird production history. Return of the Living Dead has that name because it is based on a script by a guy called John A. Russo, who is a co-creator of Night of the Living Dead with George Romero. So as a co-creator, he had the right to make a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. So he has a script called Return of the Living Dead, completely different to this. But Dan O'Bannon, a bit more experienced in the industry, had his big success with Alien in '79, wants to get involved, buys the script, and then kind of junks it. But he has the right then to make a movie that is with the name Return of the Living Dead. If you're following. So basically, it kind of poses as a sequel, takes the title, but then make it very clear it is not a sequel.
No, it's got nothing. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the Romero's original.
I'm not going to say it's a fake sequel because they make it very obvious to you very early on. It is not a sequel, and it is aware of the previous movie. But it's interesting that the title would probably drag people in. And it's even more interesting because it's the second time that George Romero has a fake sequel put onto his film.
Wait, this was the second time?
Yeah.
So what was the first?
The Beloved. I wonder if chat is going to get it. Okay, I'm going to leave a little bit of a pause. I'll ramble on for about 3 more seconds so chat has a chance to type it in before I get on. And I will now say it. It is Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Oh.
Which you're like, what? Zombie? What? Not Night of the Zombie Flesh? No. Zombie Flesh Eaters is an Italian giallo by Lucio Fulci, and in Italy, Night of the Living Dead was released as Zombie, and Zombie Flesh Eaters is released in Italy, its origin country, as Zombie 2. Someone's got it.
Yeah, you go UK Death and Black Metal.
Well
Boom.
done.
Look at that.
You know what? You know what I need to do, actually? We need to do like a pub quiz. We need to do a pub quiz and see how chat does. What do you reckon?
You could just nick my community quiz format and just focus it on horror.
I could. Oh,
I've got the template if you want it.
What do you reckon, chat? Do you want a pub quiz? We could do it. I think Jess Franco's got that as well. Jess Franco actually dropped some really good trivia earlier. The Running Zombies, Nightmare City got there first, and also Garden of the Dead was the other one that did Running Zombies.
I'm loving Jess Franco's avatar as well.
Oh, I don't recognise it.
I'm just saying, it's just I love it.
It's a good one. It's a good one. All right. We've got the weirdness around the scripting. Basically, Dan O'Bannon playing a little bit of shenanigans, but I think possibly at this point, having been burned over his script in Alien, he was sort of willing to play the game, and plus, I think we got a much better movie out of it.
Do we know if the original script to Return of the Living Dead still exists?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I haven't looked it up, but if people want to look for that, that's John A. Russo, and if you look for the word, what is it? Stakers, you'll probably find it. but it should be under this name. Oh, anyway, right. So we've nearly finished the story. So they Russo leads with Living Dead movies. Romero carries on just saying "of the dead," right, in the titles. And I thought that this was a bit of a scandal, a bit of a falling out, but apparently they were completely amiable about it. They didn't mind. They were doing different things, and they had a general agreement. And it was actually a producer by the name of Rich Rubenstein, who we covered very recently, and unfortunately my brain has just shut down. He was a producer of, there we go, Pet Sematary.
Right.
Pet Sematary. There we go. I was doing a big bailout for my brain failing, and it actually got there quite quickly. Yeah, Rich Rubenstein stepped in to make it a legal, a sort of legal thing that Romero could not use Living Dead in his titles.
Romero couldn't use Living Dead in his titles.
Yeah. So that's why he has to do Of the Dead and not Living Dead.
Right.
And the Living Dead rights stayed with Russo, which is kind of a shame because they're all chill. Romero and Russo were chill. It's Rubenstein who got in and sort of brought the lawyers in. Boo.
Boo. S is in the chat to Ruben Rubenstein.
Absolutely.
Boo.
S for spitting on solicitors.
Has to ruin the fun. We could have had something magical.
I can't be too mad at him. He gave us Pet Sematary, you know. And folks, I will remind you, if you want to see my DVD commentary for Pet Sematary, the original 1999 version, you can find it on the channel. I've got the shilling vibe today. I don't know what's happening.
I was say you're on it. That was a decent segue.
All right, cheers. I'm seeing new people in the chat, and I love it. Hello, all of you, lovely new folk. Anyway, right, let's get into it. Pivotal question, TCG. Pivotal question.
Okay.
What's your familiarity with Return of the Living Dead?
Saw this many years ago. Remembered very little of it. Watched it last week. Realised that I did not remember much of it.
No, fair. I think it's my experience too. I've seen it only once before, so this rewatch was quite interesting. I started to really appreciate some of the things that were going on to just do something wildly different to the standard zombie movie. I really liked that.
Yeah, I have to say, one of the first things I noticed, and I'm seeing it in this picture now, just reminded me, the boombox. That is a there's a cultural signifier for you. Yeah. Oh, and also so many horror mainstays in this. I really like this. I didn't take this in the first time round, but you work your way through the Friday the 13th series and you start to get a bit familiar. We have I'll just make sure I'm getting that name right. Miguel Nunez. Nunez? Help me out. Nunez?
I want to say Nunez.
Yeah, Nunez.
Yeah. Now I'll just confirm. Yeah, he was in part 5 as well.
Right.
As well as Mark Venturini.
Oh my god! Of course, that's where I recognised him from.
And he's not the only one who also had a little venture into Friday the 13th. Let me get up a quick one of him. Where's my man? I'm going to call him Freddy or Film. Folks, if you haven't seen this before, it is Freddy. I usually never remember character names. And I will just refer to protagonist and lead female. So bear with me. Yeah, there he is. So this is Tom Matthews. Do you recognise him from any Friday the 13th?
No. I feel like it's going to be one of the later ones, though.
You are correct.
Oh, okay.
You are correct. He was the second Tommy Jarvis.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, third Tommy Jarvis, I think I should say.
hang on. Which one was that then? Was that part 6?
Let me confirm.
Just double
Oh
checking.
no. Yeah. So there's
Part 6. Yeah.
There's a child Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
And then there's a Tommy Jarvis for part 5 who. I never get to say this information. He didn't want to come back for part 6 because he had embraced Christianity and he felt the film was a bit evil.
Oh, based.
Which is kind of, yeah, you've got to like, although, sad to say, he missed a trick because there's a cute moment in part 6 where Jason goes to a girl and the girl's praying and Jason leaves her be.
I don't remember that bit.
Yeah, it's a short moment, but it's about the only time you see something like that in horror.
Wow.
Yeah. I see people are appreciating Miguel Nunez. He is indeed Enchilada Guy, who is the only person I've ever seen killed inside a Portaloo. Bless. He livens up that movie. And we already talked about Mark Venturini. Linnea Quigley I've seen getting love as a bit of a scream queen. Very, very happy to be naked in most films. A bit of a cult figure in the horror circuit.
If there's one thing that disappointed me about this movie, it was the fact that her zombie didn't really feature much after she because there was so much foreshadowing in this film, like proper in your face, like you cannot miss it.
Completely.
Oh my god! And obviously, she dies exactly the way that she wants to. Yeah, that bit. But it was a shame actually, because and again, I'm not thinking from a dirty perspective. Get your heads out the gutters, chat. But I thought she was going to be some sort of super zombie or almost like temptress type of zombie, and she just sort of blends in with the rest of them, which is a bit of a shame.
I don't know about that. I don't know. So something we'll see in this is the zombie design is all over the place. In part because they fired the guy who was originally doing the effects because they didn't like what he did.
Right. Okay.
But they do something with her. I would try and get it on screen, but unfortunately, she's
no
Linnea
Britishes.
Quigley, so she's no Britishes.
Yeah, no Britishes.
I could have Britished her up.
Oh, you could have.
I don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can do it on the fly, actually. But they do give her a different design where she looks a bit like Mystique in X-Men. Imagine Mystique in X-Men if she still had the no pasties covering her nipples.
Yeah, no. What I mean by that, absolutely. She has a very different appearance to the other ones because, like you say, she pretty much looks like Mystique. But I didn't feel like they did much else with it. Do you know what I mean? They could have made, because she looks so different. They could have. They could have made something unique about it, heightened intelligence, maybe extra strength, or like I say, she could have oozed off some sort of I don't know, pheromone or whatever that would have attracted people to her. I'm just spitballing here, but I say she was just a typical zombie, but she could open her mouth very wide from what little I could see.
Yeah, you get very quick cuts with that, but
almost kind of vampiric. Her appearance, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe they had room for it. They do have slightly different zombies in here. We get the one that's completely yellow because it looks like it's been disinfected with iodine, which I thought was a really cool touch.
Yeah, I like that.
And of course, we are going to talk about the Tar Man because that is an amazing effect. But yeah, they give her that solid design. They try to visually get her in frame. So at the very end of the film, she's kind of standing upright, looking up to the heavens with basically, it looks like minion zombies behind her. But actually, she doesn't do anything.
I kind of do want to correct myself a little bit because when you do first see her, there is a guy who's sort of oh, hello, what's going on? And then she gets almost distracting. But yeah, more of that would have been quite cool. If one of her old friends had seen her or something like that. And from what I can remember, I don't think that they did after that. I think she was just sort of hanging around doing the murders or doing the brain munching elsewhere. But
she was pretty much on her own. She could have been good in sort of leading the attack on the cops.
Yeah, that's
That would
yeah,
be
that's what I mean.
cool.
Like she would. Yeah, I felt like she could have been more front and center than what she was. But that's my only real gripe about it, I'd say.
Yeah, I
Could
mean,
have- Yeah.
there's a lot going on, and it does get a bit chaotic. But you're very good to mention the foreshadowing there. She's like, what was it exactly she said? I want to.
I think she said. Oh, sorry. Go on.
So she's. Oh gosh, this will be fun to describe. She's, shall we say, getting herself worked up and a bit hot and bothered, imagining dying, surrounded by old dudes. Is Dan O'Bannon dropping some secret knowledge about Hollywood casting? What do you reckon, chat?
I
that...
reckon. Why not?
And yes, she dies in exactly that way. Of course, foreshadowing wise, we are in the resurrection cemetery, so it's a bit on the nose, isn't it? Yeah. I like that. There are so many angles we could take this from. What do you think of take this into? What do you make of the little gimmick they have of Night of the Living Dead being a real event that was made into a movie and has put out fake news about the zombies? How do you like that?
Yeah, I did like it, actually. I thought it was quite an interesting sort of direction to go with it. It kind of makes you... it's hard to explain, but I mean, it just in terms of like, oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, this was a real thing that happened, and they just sort of tweaked it to make it entertaining. I like that. I quite like that.
Yeah, it's also got the angle to it, so there are little hints. Okay, folks, this is a silly movie. There's lots of silliness. There is absolutely unnecessary nudity, but there's quite a lot of, how can I say, brains at play here. So there are cute touches, like I'm gonna make sure I get this correct here because I got the name wrong earlier. Right, here we go. The name of the chemical is quite interesting. Right, so I'm just reading from Wikipedia so I don't mess this up. The story featured 2,4,5-trioxin chemical developed by the Darrow Chemical Company for the military, which is a play on the real-life Dow Chemical Company and its involvement in the 1960s with the manufacturer of Agent Orange, scientifically known by the name of 2,4,5-T-dioxin. What O'Bannon's doing here is, a little bit of dropping a few interesting tidbits. This is a very anti-establishment film, pointing to some real-life shady behaviours, having fun with sort of an incompetent state, a little bit of a narco-tyranny, if you will, and dropping a few interesting tidbits. Maybe we skip to it. There's a reference to, I'm going to get the name wrong. Is it Operation Paperclip?
I think so.
Hang on, Anyway, the film has a very low opinion of the government and its stance, and considers it rather underhand, as shown in the notorious ending where they call for the government for help and get absolutely ruby ridged via a nuke. The government just nukes Kentucky just to solve the situation. Just for an example of how cynical they'll get. But they have a character in here who has got an interesting backstory. I'm going to find if I can ever find my image of the chap.
While you're doing that, John Gorris has said the friendship between Bert and Ernie is very endearing and convincing. No gay readings, please. I second that. Well, you can't really give
As
it.
if
Well,
I would, Don Gars. What
I
channel
was-
do you think this is?
I was about to say you can't really do a gay reading because the older dude's married, but then beards, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
When I met Michael Barrymore, he had a beard.
I do mean way code. Thank you, years. Cheers. Sorry. Forgive me for my Britishness. I'm so British. I have a toothache right now. That's how British we are. Oh dear.
I was going to say I don't think we have an equivalent, do we?
Not sure. Anyway, Ernie here, lovely character. There are signs that are dropped in all the way through his appearances that Ernie, I'll get his full name as well. What is it? Ernst Kaltenbrunner. Came to the US from Germany and was maybe formerly involved in one of the previous governments there.
No.
If you take my reading, there are sly references to this that are easily missed, but he uses a Luger. He has some interesting paintings around. If you just look at the backgrounds where he is.
Who is that? It's not Ava Brown, is it?
I'm not sure if that is.
I'll say that again, but then again, that would be just as on the nose as everything else of this movie.
But I mean, possibly I'm massively overreading this, but the fact that they have Ernie in there, who's meant to be a sort of escaped undercover reformed mid-century German, strikes me as a little bit of a Werner von Braun style reference. This is quite a counter-regime film. This is a film that, while it is throwing in the kind of really obvious counter-cultural, counter-establishment aspects like punk characters who are extremely, how can we say, unfiltered. They're basically stereotype punks played with a certain amount of knowingness and parody, but there are also some sly critiques in there, like this reference to Operation Paperclip, like the reference to the Dow Chemical Company. I think that's Dan O'Bannon being a little bit clever there.
Well, I mean, I certainly missed it.
I overthink these things, TCG. That's the kind of fun I have.
I just watched funny zombie movie, brain eating movie. That's what I saw. And just I've said this from day one. I've never been deep in the analysing game when it comes to movies. It's taken a lot for me to not switch my brain off when I'm watching these things.
It is absolutely fine, and we love that balance. We love it. Also, don't do yourself down, man. You're grand.
Oh no, I'm not. Oh no, I mean it from a sincere position. Like that. That's just how I am. I mean, I just this podcast that we do has kind of like helped me with that. So yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Yes, we're talking about some sneaky, shall we say, sneaky counter-regime messaging hidden in amidst all the absolutely unnecessary stripteases. I did find a screenshot that I thought I could get in, and I don't know, man. I took so long to try and get a screenshot that I thought wouldn't be Mohand. What do you reckon? Do I get away with that?
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I mean, this is absolutely excessive, but it's out of nowhere. But Linnea,
the geezer with the boombox in the
will-
foreground. Sorry, the geezer in the no, what a screenshot! Him
He's
in the
a meme,
boombox.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Should I just put that guy in my bottom left corner in other screenshots? This could be the new Britisher.
Yes.
Sorry, folks, if that makes no sense. I used to censor nudity in screenshots with with a certain channel's avatar. Yeah. completely unnecessary striptease. The reason I'm bringing this up is related to something I found a bit amusing. Good call. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, had you heard any of the lore around this slightly troublesome nudity that's in here?
No.
Oh, this is good stuff. Okay, right. I'm going to bring up the BBFC page for this, and we'll see some interesting details here. Where are we? Oh, come on, BBFC. How? There we go. Right. So should be seeing that okay.
Oh.
We got that?
Okay. Yep.
Excellent. Right. I will walk us through it. So 1985, it comes out in cinema, okay? 91 minutes. What happens here?
Uh-oh.
SpaghettiOs. This is the original VHS release. And they've taken 4 minutes off it.
Is it the entire musical scene?
It's a lot of the nudity.
Okay.
This, you will probably know this, folks, if you looked into this, but I hope you will forgive me because I found it very funny. Linnea Quigley does her striptease for basically no reason whatsoever, except we all like booba. Who doesn't, right? But she does it completely naked, right? And Linnea Quigley, happy to do that. More willing to do it than the actual former stripper in the cast. And Linnea Quigley as Trash does that, and she gets up to dance, and the sort of assistant producers for the studio say, hold on, we got a problem here. You can't show her sort of, sorry, YouTube censors, I might get demonetized for it because YouTube is like that. You can't show a pubic hair. And so, hearing that, and that would be a bit of a problem for censors. They're very sensitive to that. They wouldn't like you showing any hair. So she goes and shaves everything off and comes back, and they say, no, it's even worse. It's even worse. Oh, no. Oh dear. And so they have to invest in making her a merkin and also a fake
Beaver.
Oh, Beaver is a good one. Well, they make her a fake like Barbie situation, so she can be totally naked but have nothing. Do you remember Dogma and what the angels in Dogma had down there?
I don't.
They've got like nothing down there. It's like a Ken doll, right?
Right. Okay.
And she had to wear this as well. And they're filming multiple versions. So we've got a hairy Linnea, we've got a totally hairless Linnea, and then we've got latex mold Linnea all down there.
I was going to say, it didn't look right, you know? I mean, and it wasn't like I was trying to... I just realised how it sounds. I wasn't trying to look intentionally. I just...
No, just pausing it for the research.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. They absolutely... Yes, she is wearing a prosthetic.
Yeah.
If you pause at various points, you can see the version I was able to access. I think it's all the Barbie version.
Right, okay.
Which I just found quite interesting. And if you notice it, it's sort of, oh goodness me.
Yeah. I think I must have had the same one then, because I wasn't exactly the same, but I was like, that doesn't look like she's actually naked. Like she's wearing something. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she has got a little thing. I felt bad for her. How cold do you reckon she was during the filming of all this?
It depends on when they filmed it. I mean,
night shoots, you know. She's getting soaked in. She's got to have artificial rain poured on her.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. Bloody hell! I just paid her extra for that.
You know what? I went and forgot. Oh dear.
Sorry, Maverick.
Oh no! Oh dear. Sitting there wondering, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Eh? Right.
What?
I forgot there was a mystery I was going to solve, and it's related to Ernie. Let's go back to Ernie quickly. I had a reason for bringing him up. Right. So here's our boy Ernie, who, as we learn, is almost certainly a secret, sneaky, undercover, reformed, cultured mid-century German. And you're like, okay, so we got that. This explains something that was really weird in a completely different film. And that, let me get up now, right? This is not going to stay monetized, is it?
Can I just say, his name is Don Calfa. I think you might have mentioned it earlier, but...
Yeah. This is Brain Dead. Brain Dead 1993. Our main character goes to, I believe, a vet to get something to help control his zombie problem. And the vet tears his lab coat and reveals a fruity little symbol. And I thought, oh, that's a weird, random element for Peter Jackson to throw into this movie. I think it was a tribute.
To Ernie. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think it's a tribute to Ernie. Just
Possibly,
sort of
yeah.
An extremely sort of exaggerated version of it, but yeah, I think Peter Jackson did that. I mean, his zombies are also fast. His zombies in Brain Dead also do not die. You have to literally mince them up with a lawnmower to... We don't even know they're dead. We just know they can't really do much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what have we got here? The spicy pinwheel, the windmill of peace, the 80% of the old Windows logo is how I call it sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, I just thought, what do you reckon, chat? Is that a massive reach? Let me know.
I don't think it's a massive reach at all. I think you might. We should ask Peter Jackson. Really, that's what we should do. We should tweet at him.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that celebrities love being tweeted at.
Absolutely. Oh, I think we could give it a go.
No, I think yeah. I think that stands to reason. I mean, you could. I mean, it kind of makes sense that you'd have a reformed scientist, if you will, handing over dodgy sort of potions or whatever, or and then you have the kind of guy like who we're seeing now, who would have sort of like the same background, I imagine. Yeah, it could work.
Okay. I mean, Ernie's kind of an innocent guy in this. He's actually he's not a monster. He's like the most stand-up gent. He'll bend the rules for a friend. At the end, he's all about protecting. He's a smart guy. He also, interestingly, he copies the winning strategy from Night of the Living Dead. If you all remember that heading up into the attic. Except in this one, it's not such a winning strategy because we have smart zombies here.
Oh, do you know what? I was really annoyed at that because I was thinking to myself, like, when he got up, he should have pulled the ladder up with him. I mean, granted, we've got smart zombies now, so it would have only been a matter of time. But I was a bit annoyed at that because it's not as if he couldn't work out where he'd gone because there's a ladder literally standing right underneath the bloody attic. It's not like. It's not like video game logic where if you hide under a bed, the monster can't see you automatically.
Yeah. So, what do you think of Return of the Living Dead's version of zombies? Their reimagining. How do you reckon? How do you feel they work relative to others?
I would say Overpowered springs to mind. Very, very tricky. Yeah, I don't know, man. I prefer the Romero kind. The old slow one to the head, puts them down. I kind of like that better. But then that's just because I'm petrified of zombies, and the idea of one just not dying freaks me the hell out.
It is basically a completely different creature, if we're honest, in this version.
and it's like getting rid of. I mean, obviously, as you know, you find out later on in the film, you know, getting rid of one the way that they did caused a massive, massive problem. It's like literally the only way to, you know, like you said earlier, you don't know if they're actually dead if you like mince meat, if you mince them up, you just know that they can't do anything.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I like the trad zombie because they just represent this completely different style. They're a different mode of fear where the whole thing is just about being overwhelmed. And you have time to feel hemmed in and claustrophobic. My general theory of zombies is that the fear that they kind of invoke, because of being all about the crowd, is that they are bringing in that fear of kind of exile and abandonment. It's about the fear of you no longer being in the main group, you being kind of ostracized. And see, like, because there's always that thing in zombie movies of a member of your group gets turned and then turns against you. So it's this fear of like, you're in control, like your tribe, if you will, were in control, and then not so much. Like you get this feeling of like betrayal, of ostracization, and I think that sets off a lot of lizard brain activity, just because of the way that kind of zombie works.
I think the element of surprise factor in zombie films and media, I think aids to that theory of, you know, that what you're saying, because it always sort of happens out of nowhere. It's unexpected. It's not something that creeps up on you slowly. It's like one day you're, I don't know, king of the world, and then the next day you're struggling for survival.
Totally. And that's sort of interesting that's a zombie that I think the message comes out a lot more in that sort of 60s era. You know, if my reading's right, it is kind of about the big social change and like people feeling sort of paranoid about being left behind socially. And that really stands out, I think, when you see the sort of country versus city aspect that Romero brings in, or the aspect of the urban environment. I think it's quite different when we're having the more sort of voodoo zombies that we get in the earlier 60s. Gatsby making his cameo there. But the zombies in this are just like a completely different breed. They are, I'd say, more like standard monster for the most part. Although we do get a bit of the action of the zombies in crowds, but they just act so quickly that it's not like you I don't think you have the same psychological dynamic that you get with slow moving masses of zombies.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, the added cunning of these zombies as well adds that extra sort of frightening element, like the fact that they can sort of plan and plot, almost kind of like a prehistoric man.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Plotting its, you know, planning its kill before it actually, you know, that EMT one when they're like, and then obviously they play on it again later when they get rid of those paramedics, and then it's like, yeah, send more paramedics, and it's kind of like, okay, they're playing, and then they do a that's it, yeah. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah, but then, like, you know, they do a old surprise attack on them when they all turn up, you know.
Genuinely
that's
great scene.
Awful. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the last one where everyone's all in yellow and you get the zombies storming the barricades. I think it you could say it's unnecessary, but I think this might sound trivial, but just because they dressed everyone in yellow so they stood out, it just looked really good. I mean, I don't think this is an unfortunate thing to have it on, but I should maybe choose literally any other screenshot I have other than this, but this movie looks really, really good. I just thought it was beautifully shot. The shots are very well composed. Like, this is Dan O'Bannon being a pretty darn good director here.
I think so, yeah. I'd say so. Yeah.
Because I mean, what did you think of that bit when you have the paramedics and then send more cops and then you get the whole line of cops coming?
Yeah, and then they all come out from the sides, don't they? Like from the. Oh, it's just it's mostly comical. But again, like there's the fact that they have the intelligence in place still to to sort of plan ahead, just rather than being that mindless creature that's just sort of mindlessly wandering around in the hopes that it just happens to stumble upon something that it can eat. It does add that extra fear factor in for me. Again, as someone who really doesn't like zombies, but I will consume as much media. In fact, only the other day I watched Resident Evil, that Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh yeah.
I watched that the other day. I've been watching.
Is that the CGI one?
No, it's a live action one. I think it came out a couple of years ago, like maybe even last year. I would approach that with caution because my God, they did our boy Leon dirty in that movie. Oh my God, big time.
Wait, dirtier than like Paul Thomas Anderson? No, whichever Paul Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson, that's the one.
I would probably say it's perhaps the worst interpretation of a character I've seen in a while. I mean, everybody knows Leon Kennedy, the old, sort of bright hair, curtains, super efficient officer. I know. I think in Resident Evil 2 anyway. I think he wasn't long on the force anyway. It might have even been his first day. But his character demonstrated competence straight away. But this geezer, oh my God, man, he was being carried throughout the entire film. He was an absolute joke. He had like this long, like wavy black hair. He just didn't look like him at all. Act like him. It wasn't Leon Kennedy. It was someone who just happened to have the same name as him. But it was also established that he shot someone in the arse as well while he was in the academy training, and he was in Raccoon City as like a form of punishment. And it's like, dude, come on, like, I mean, I don't know much about Resident Evil in terms of like the lore and stuff like that, but I know what kind of character Leon Kennedy is, and it's like that is not him. Otherwise, it's kind of a mid-film, but they really did him dirty.
Savage. Many such cases these days. On the Fast Zombies thing on this.
Yes, sorry.
There's a really cute detail in this bit. So actually, I really like this scene for a couple of reasons. It builds up for you the threat that you get for just one zombie. We should probably explain what happens here. Do you remember the scene well enough to do a recap, or do you want me to?
So they, if I remember correctly, don't they capture? That wasn't the one that escaped the container. He was the
No.
was he the one? No, he wasn't the one.
That's the guy who was. He's disinfected with iodine, I believe, which is why he's yellow, which I love. Such a great touch. He was hanging up. He's making a hell of a racket moaning, which is already kind of cool and freaky. And Freddy and the guy whose name what's his name? Not Bert. Frank. It's Frank, isn't it?
Freddy.
It's Frank and Freddy.
Oh, Bert.
Yeah, Bert comes in later. So Bert's their boss. He's the guy with the saw there.
I love that there's a Bert and Ernie in this.
Yeah. Oh, apparently unintentional. It's a coincidence. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. So they think, right, we're going to deal with this zombie. Frank and Freddy are going to open the door, and then Bert's going to clock him. Except they open the door, and the zombie just rushes them.
Yes.
And causes so much chaos. Now this is already brilliant because we are primed to expect a slow zombie.
Yeah.
If you're in that audience, by the way, 1985, you have probably just seen Day of the Dead with classic slow zombies. So if you're a zombie fan, you're sitting there, you're ready, it's our first zombie, and you're expecting something slow, this thing just rushes out, it would scare the heck out of you. Like, we've got to remember, this is a massive shock.
Yeah, I've just remembered. Oh my god, I remember laughing at this because obviously they go through like quite a bit of prep, don't they? You know, you got one. You know, you got is it Freddy, isn't it? You know, stands behind the door. You know, he's just got to open it and swing out of sight so he doesn't get seen. Is it Bert? Bert's the older one, isn't he? He's the one who's like, I'll take him out. And then you got Frank sort of like to the left, and the idea was that the zombie was supposed to come out and go after Bert, and I loved it because he just goes straight, he completely mugs him off and goes for Freddy.
There is genius in that, right?
Yeah.
The zombie ignores the two people who were already exposed to the gas,
and
are going to die later. The zombie knows they're infected and goes straight for Bert.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
So, like, it's a clever world building point. It is a filmmaking surprise, and it is blooming hilarious because he causes absolute havoc.
Proper carnage.
Yeah, and then you get the second one. Like, you think, okay, they're gonna take him out with the headshot.
Yeah,
and that doesn't do it.
Because again, because they're debating, aren't they? They're like, oh, you know, that's how you take him out in the Romero film. That's how it's supposed to work.
So absolutely brilliant. You at this point, you know, you've kind of got it like, oh gosh, what the heck are these zombies? These do not behave like I expect my zombies to do. It catches you out. I think if you were in the cinema in 1985, whenever you first saw this, if you've watched a lot of zombie movies, I think that catches you out completely. And it is such a good choice. Dan O'Bannon knows what he's doing, and that was very clever.
Did it almost feel kind of like Three Stooges with these guys at points? Obviously, less of the slapstick on each other, but just it felt so comical. But yeah, it has sort of like the right sort of fear factor in it as well. It's interesting how he sort of how it's all balanced out in this scene in particular, I have to say.
Yeah. I don't think he's hugely going for the scares there, but it's nice he gets it. I've read an interview with Dan O'Bannon from 2007. Now, he's been dead a while, unfortunately. Bit of an unfortunate life, sad to say. But he was asked if it was a comedic device that the zombies move quickly, and obviously it's very funny that a zombie just causes havoc, knocking everything over. Especially like they cut his head off and it just enables him to go and cause even more chaos. I mean,
so even when he's got the pickaxe to the back of the head there, and his like legs are still flapping around.
Yeah, I know. I mean, actually, here's a thought: when did Evil Dead 2 come out? 87? Do you think they were inspired by this? The idea of the older headless corpse running around and actually knocking everything over? Who knows?
Maybe.
Anyway, so O'Bannon is asked, is it a comedic device, the idea that they move quickly? And he says, no, it was basically trying to get away from George Romero, and I was trying to avoid the cliche. As a matter of fact, the executive producers, John Daly and his partner, they came to Daly's and they saw the first footage of the zombies running. They just hit the roof and yelled and screamed. They said, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know that zombies lumbered slowly. It wasn't until they saw the film cut together that they got the point and saw what I was doing. And so, yeah. And then he does go on and reference Zack Schneider. So, yeah, cool.
I've just got to dip out for like 2 seconds, if that's all right. I'll be back.
That's absolutely cool. I will talk about Tarman.
Sweet. Oh, just about to miss the best bit. Go on, crack on.
Sorry,
I'll be back in a sec. Thank you.
All right. Groovy folks, we are going to talk about this wonderful character who we see in the opening. Now, I don't have the best shot of this because, you know how it goes, folks. I can't show it on YouTube. I can't do all the fun. But if you look behind the title screen there, you see our Tarman, our very interesting zombie. And all the so many of the zombies here look completely different. I've already said they did fire the original person who was doing the effects. And I think that person's work was originally some of the weaker stuff we saw. But it's more, we tend to see those people more in crowd scenes, so it doesn't distract you much. By the way, guys, you have no idea how tempted I am to take myself onto Fiverr and yet again hire some talented professional person who deserves so much better than me, and get them to make a cover of Bowie's Starman with Tarman. What do you reckon? The lyrics just come to your mind, don't they?
I mean, if you want a YouTube reference, I'm surprised you didn't come out with "What's up, Tarman fam?"
Oh, I'm lost on that. I'm not cool enough to get that reference.
Oh,
I can't sing, but you can picture it. There's a tar man waiting down there. He wants to come and eat you. And anyway, have fun with your own lyrics, folks. But anyway, I just want to highlight this because we see the face melting as the inciting incident for this story. Is the breach of the gas here. After a little joke about the quality of army equipment.
yeah.
I love it. And we see the face melting. Now, I've talked a couple of times about films which clearly took their inspiration from Return of the Living Dead. Let's take a little note here. I think here, what they did to get this rotting face effect as all the white flesh melted down, leaving just the red, rotten bone beneath. That's an effect I think they copied from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The fate of the mid-century Germans, and they did it the exact same way. You make a dummy face and you apply the sort of muscle layer and then the flesh layer made out of wax. And then you film on a low frame rate as you blow a sort of hairdryer at it and melt the wax. And then when it's played sped up, you have a lovely effect.
I love that.
It's really cool.
That's why practical effects for me will always be a winner over CGI, because it's quite ingenious. I mean, even though you can kind of tell it's a bit, it looks dated, but you know what? I can respect that.
You can't beat physical, and they go further with it as well. They are just so we not only get that, we also get a physical here. Now I've sort of tripped myself up here. I was going to do a quiz for people to see if they knew, but I'll just skip straight to it. TCG, would it surprise you to know that what you're looking at there is the only cast member who is also on the Muppets?
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, everyone else. So many of the others stayed in horror, went on to Friday the 13th in particular. Alan Troutman here is an experienced voice actor and puppeteer. And he also went on Sesame Street. So,
Big Bird?
I don't know who he operated. I think he was just a guest, but he's got a face cameo in it, as well as, I believe, working some of the puppets. And he is one of those actors that horror absolutely relies on. Someone who's basically blessed with a borderline skeletal physique.
Right, okay.
Who is just heaven if you're making a physical costume.
Yeah.
Because you can put the layers on without making them look massive and padded, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Tarman was another character I feel like was underused in this movie.
Oh, totally. Well. I mean, he's iconic. I think they should have realised that this guy is utterly iconic. They bring him back multiple times, but this is just... I mean, I've talked for ages. Tell me your thoughts.
I mean, here's the thing. Again, sort of, I'll go back to like how they could have utilised other characters more. Another one of my gripes about this film is the amount of time it takes for it to get into gear. It's like it was an hour and a half movie, but the first half an hour is just mostly set up. It's very slow paced to begin with. I felt like if they sped it up a little bit, if they perhaps like whittled that down to like, I don't know, 15-20 minutes start time, or build up. Sorry, I feel like they could have had that extra time to utilize, characters like Tarman. I mean, imagine him and the old Barbie girl. I'm gonna say Blue Barbie.
What, you shipping them?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want? Are you after some Rule 34 on top?
Oh, Christ Almighty! But I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, you could have. I mean, they were both characters that, or zombies that could have really led from the front with this movie. And like I say, it's a shame it didn't. I mean, what they did with the other zombies was cool, and respect that. But they're kind of like run of the mill, aren't they? Really, But these two were so unique and so. I mean, the hairdryer effect aside, when he's been melted. I mean, like the end result when you see like Tarman, it's just absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's just do a little
effects.
comparison to some of the other zombies in this.
Yeah, sure.
And again, I'm not doing this to do Dan O'Bannon dirty. He saw early effects and he fired the guy who did the early effects.
Right.
He was very involved. He was very responsive. We get crowd members like this. That is probably toilet paper. That's probably liquid latex and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Which is how you do a primitive skin rubbing off.
Right. Okay.
And then it's just painted. There's some egregious mask work here. I tried my best to catch it, but those are basically quick masks on the zombies breaking through.
Oh, okay.
You don't really see them, but they're sort of loose-fitting masks.
Right.
Which is not great. But then that is balanced out by really good zombie design on Linnea Quigley when she comes back as Mystique.
Yeah.
And the yellow iodine dipped zombie, and of course our boy Tarman.
Yeah, it's like someone mentioned in the chat. I think I alluded to it as well. Like again, Blue Barbie. The fact that she can like dislocate her jaw like a snake when eating her victim's brains. I mean, that's a standout thing. Like I want to see more of that.
Oh, you can see a lot of Linnea Quigley.
Yeah, you can.
I remember. Oh gosh, I remember when Red Letter Media covered this. They pointed out that she had done a zombie home exercise video on VHS.
Really?
It was like, yeah, Linnea Quigley's zombie workout. Chat. Does one of you want to Google that and try and find that for me? Red Letter Media highlighted it for me. I thought that sounded like the most 80s thing.
I will.
Anyway, so the comparison we've got here, like we've had our, not great zombies, but then we have Tarman, played by an actual puppeteer who came in and really added this distinctive physical movement to it. I also love that in the design, he looks kind of happy.
Yeah.
Looks like a dog trying to get a treat. Like he's seen you open the treat cupboard and he's like, snack?
Yes. I think I found it.
Oh, have you got it? What's the name?
Oh, I'll link it to you in the chat. Oh, they've even got good stuff. They've got clowns that. Oh, hang on a minute.
Let me have a look at this.
Yep. Excellent. They've censored out Booba. Oh, hang on a minute. They've got Night. Oh, hang on a minute. Silent Night, Deadly Night. The bottom shelf. What's this? A fitness started to become fitness.
Oh man, I really. I'm so tempted to play this.
Horror workout finds Quigley leading a group of zombies in a poolside aerobics routine and hosting an ill-fated slumber party complete with jazzercise and chainsaws.
I'm not
okay.
going to. I don't think I'm going to show any stills from this, folks. You can look that up in your own time. Look for Linnea Quigley's horror workout. and you will find that fun. All right. Oh man, I can't. Years. I'm not going to risk it. But it starts with the most wonderfully camp gentleman. Yeah. So basically, what I'm loving is Tarman. Tarman's adorable. And the way he's used is so interesting. He's a clever zombie. He's a character. We see him literally problem solve by creating a mechanism to where he can use a ratchet on a chain to open a locked door.
Oh my god, yeah. That's my days. That's so brilliant.
And I think on some level, most of this is played for a laugh. The character who meets her unfortunate fate, look down here. Dan O'Bannon did her really dirty, you remember. She comes down, she sees Tarman. Oh, I'll actually show her, because this was something else I liked.
Again, there was a good foreshadowing moment with this as well. When at the beginning, when when Freddy takes Frank down. No, Frank takes Freddy down to the basement to show him the train at the to show him like the
barrels,
the barrels. That's it. If you blink and you miss it, it's like, oh, mind the third step, it's weak. Or you mentioned the third step, and it's that very step that she gets caught on when she goes running up.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
This is a silly movie, but there's some good writing in it. Also, in this moment, when she goes down, she meets Tarman. We get a vertigo shot, which, if you're not familiar with, folks, obviously made famous in Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. It's achieved by moving the camera towards the subject whilst zooming out, which just warps the the depth of field around the person. If that sounds weird, you'll know it when you see it. Okay, you've seen vertigo shots before, and it's just a nice little bit of extra effort they did. But she goes down, she sees Tarman, she legs it up, and that step they warned you about, she falls through it. In my research, apparently Dan O'Bannon did not tell her about this, and she was furious. Absolutely furious.
Oh, no way.
They made movies different in the 80s, man. Oh, God. TC. Well, it is a super chat. Shall we have a few minutes?
You can have a little go.
Shall we have a few minutes? Right, cinema mode. Okay, I think I've got it. Let's give this a go. All right.
I mean, it's on YouTube, so I mean, it's not something that surely it's not something that's going to get us kicked off.
Yeah. How bad can it be?
It is so easy. Chekhov's step. I love that pressure.
True. Okay. All right, folks. Here we go. Right, you're gonna have to tell me if you hear the sound or not. I mean, chat. We can stop now. You don't have to do this.
This you don't have to. Point of no return now. Point of no return.
Here we go.
Hi. I thought today we'll work on a couple of things, okay? Just straighten them out. A couple of routines and try and put them together like we've normally been doing, all right? We start in that position.
There's too much bulge.
And then we move to the left 2 times and to the right twice, okay? So we go 1, 2.
Oh my God!
Now it started to become fashionable.
This is the best thing I've ever seen. Hang on. Shall we get actual Linnea? Shall we take a risk?
Oh, I can see her now on my screen. Oh my days. Very nice.
Hang on. I don't know about this. Where is she?
They've got that like blonde-haired geezer in it as well. Who did like?
Is any of this thing?
2 minutes 20?
2 minutes.
There she is.
Oh. Dancing in a graveyard on a tombstone.
I don't think this is going to go well.
I think the chat regret it now.
I think I'm going to leave that there. I don't know how long we can go with that being safe for YouTube. I think we all learned something today, folks. Anyway,
the 80s
Alan
was
Troutman,
wild.
as we're saying, yes. Evola, the undisputed champion. This is another 1,000 souls for Evola. Well, speaking of Evola, did the paramedics remind you of anyone?
No.
No wrestling.
Oh my god,
fans?
yes, no, oh my god. Hang on a minute. Are you thinking Friday the 13th again?
No, I'm thinking a certain Evola appreciator. It's actually not very good at that angle, but in some shots it looked just like a certain scholar.
Oh, for God's sake, hang on.
Anyway, I'll keep this relevant to most people who don't want in-jokes to other channels, so we'll go back to Tarman.
Okay.
We're going to round off on Tarman, okay? So as we said, Alan Troutman doing an amazing job with basically like physical puppetry. He is like Doug Jones and Javier Botet and Camden Toy, incredibly thin, borderline skeletal actors who you can make into who you can put wonderful costumes on and have them still look sort of out of human proportions, so it doesn't look like they are just wearing a costume. He does it well, and of course he comes in with the brilliant brains, and we get something that that tends to be known in the trope world as the Worf effect, where you send your biggest, toughest guy in to be easily beaten by the threat. That being the character we're going to call. What were we calling Self-Delete?
Oh, Cletus the Self-Deletus?
Yeah, him. Yes. So the gang come down to rescue our character who received the Jaws shot, the vertigo shot, and the biggest and toughest of them, who is played with a sort of bizarre amount of philosophical maturity. Self-Delete goes forward and Tarman goes straight for him and just bites straight through his skull. I absolutely love it. We get some amazing gore in this movie as well.
Yeah, it's really good, really good. Excuse me. Yeah, it's what I love about it is it's at a time, isn't it, like the 80s, where they did go crazy with it at the time.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the film is actually trying to avoid the way Romero shoots it, with lots of close-ups on, like almost Italian style close-up on the effect, especially like a throat tearing. We don't get that too much here, but we will get shots of just like the body on the floor with brains leaking out.
Yeah,
which I loved. Like Dan O'Bannon had a way in this of doing really memorable horror imagery. And Tarman just eating Cletus's brains and dropping him to the ground was just an amazing example of that. And Tarman, like later, is taken out fairly memorably too. He's given the old just head knocked clean off with a baseball bat, but this scene is just absolutely perfect. It's such good zombie design. I love it.
He's one of my favourite zombie designs, I have to say.
It's just, yeah, it's brilliant. It really stands out, and I've got to say, it does mean there are memorable ones in Romero, but nothing with a. I mean, how many of them have charisma? Tarman has charisma.
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, if you go back to the Romero one, if you go back to sort of like Romero Zombie, especially Night of the Living Dead, sort of go back to what you're saying. I mean, other than the one at the very beginning of the movie, like they're all very sort of like, I don't know, it's black and white, but very sort of like monotone. Like they all have sort of like the same appearance, the same sort of clothing, the same, everything sort of, almost like group almost like aligned in the group, like you mentioned earlier. Whereas these have very unique, individualistic designs. Very much, actually, funny enough, like the group that you see, the group of teenagers in this movie. They're not. They are very much like a group of misfits. I mean, having a punk associate with a geezer in a suit, and just very odd collection of youths. But it kind of like highlights the individualism of like the designs and the styles of the zombies as well, I suppose, because even again when they turn, they become unique in their own sort of goals and motivations. From Blue Barbie and her dislocating jaw to the was it the boyfriend? I forget his name again. Frank or Freddie. Freddie, completely going uber obsessed with his girlfriend. Destined to chase her down. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Also, since I see it in the chat, was it? Yeah, Jay Weatherford. Yes. Yeah. The thing I read from him was that basically, yes, the person booked to do the voice did not turn up, so that's Dan O'Bannon stepping in. I think someone else actually said that and picked up on that as well. So it's good it's not just me who heard that. There we go. Yeah, that was the interest in Dan O'Bannon cameos. If you want to see Dan O'Bannon doing acting, though, you can watch Dark Star, one of John Carpenter's first film. There we go. Also, I thought I'd throw this in. This is just an example. So this is I think it. Oh, I'm afraid I'm having a memory fail. So was this a zombie who had their arms and legs bit off, played by a dwarf actor, or was it? Oh, is it? I think it's meant to be an actor who just had their arms and legs bit
off. I think it was. Yeah. Oh my god. That was another bit of, again, just it's freaky, but it's like funny at the same time. Oh my. Yeah, I think he did have his legs.
Yeah.
But enough. I can't remember about the arms though. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah. I think it wasn't like he was just living life like that. I think that was the end result.
Yeah, he's seen munching away, and it is a horrific. It is a really gross little image, and it also catches you out because, again, you're not expecting this guy to go off at pace chasing you.
It's fast, really fast. Yeah.
And then he shoots him. He shoots him a bunch, and he just does nothing. So, like, something to point out here is we've established how this breaks the rules of the zombie genre. We have fast zombies. We have zombies that do not die, and that carries with it some implications, namely that the zombie situation is going to get so much more out of hand, much quicker. Your usual solutions aren't going to work. And it's kind of impressive that the film actually just goes with that logic. It lets that build up this huge momentum as they go. A lot of zombie movies kind of lose a bit of momentum once they get into a siege situation, and it moves into this realm where you know the real drama becomes a tension between the humans in the group. So think of like your classic Dawn of the Dead.
I was just thinking,
Dead. Yeah,
that's exactly where my mind was going to.
Yeah. 28 Days Later as well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, no, you're absolutely right, because there's no conflict between the humans at any but like the people at any point in this movie. That the conflict is always very much directed at the zombies, and like you're saying, that siege mentality. I've just lost my train of thought. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right though. It's that's right, because in like movies like Dawn of the Dead, excuse me, even though like it's quite a dire situation, the zombies themselves don't necessarily feel like too much of a threat. Like when they're in small numbers, of course. Like it's obviously when like the hordes, it's a different story. But like the main threat never felt like if you were in a hall with like 5 or 6 zombies, you'd feel confident taking them out because they're not going to be coming at you at pace. Whereas with this one, like for all you know, there could be a whole bunch hiding behind or like up in the vents waiting to come down.
Yeah.
They're very unpredictable. Very unpredictable.
Totally, they'll throw you off like that. Yeah, it means that in a weird way, even though this film has character called, do you reckon I'd get censored if I Germaned it up?
Probably
if
not.
It was like Selbstmord.
You might get the Germans tweeting you saying you've broken their laws or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they love doing that, don't they? After all, I've stood up for them anyway. So yeah, well, self-delete. We'll say that. Mr. Auto Minecraft. You've got characters like that who are dressed up as punks who are meant to be nothing matters, end of the world. Let's just go hang around in a graveyard, etc., etc. For all that kind of stuff, for all the relentless cynicism towards the government, towards the establishment, this avoids the kind of deep nihilism that's baked into a lot of traditional zombie movies.
Yeah.
Like, where the thing is actually really it's humans are the problem. It's like, this one doesn't really do that. There's a lot of, no, humans will band together and stand up for each other in the right circumstance. It's weird. It's weird that it doesn't go down that traditional line. It's an almost positive vision, you could say.
It is, yeah. And in fact, it is the military who end up, sort of backstabbing their own people.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue it's justified in terms of minimising the spread. I mean, because ultimately it backfires on them. But again, it's sort of like government stepping in to solve a problem and making the situation worse, isn't it?
Are you suggesting that the initial government interruption of sort of paramedics, followed by cops, followed by more cops, that just makes it worse and worse, is a sly libertarian comment?
Maybe. I mean, given the fact that this whole situation is essentially a government cock-up in the beginning to begin with, because those those barrels get shipped to the mortuary in error, don't they? So that's your first government cock-up. And, they don't really have the foresight to consider what will happen after, dropping the nuke. There's your second mistake. And then, they it's, maybe there's another subtle bit of commentary from our good man.
A couple of years ago, I tried to do a Halloween list for libertarians, and some of the readings, I'm going to admit, were very forced. I should have put this in. This is like genuinely easy reading for that. I ended up putting Hellraiser 2 in there. Some torturous. The evil god is called Leviathan. Come on, it's right there.
There you go.
Anyway, also the other thing about this character is just this again shocks you. It surprises you. It's just Dan O'Bannon sort of giving you the unexpected. And speaking of the unexpected, there's probably another thing we absolutely have to talk about. Now, I'm being nice to you, TCG. I respect you. So I haven't gone for the one with the rotten bubbins out.
This was
fun.
do you know what? This was actually quite a cool scene as well. Because again, it does add personality to these zombies that you just don't get in other zombie movies. Like, I mean, if anything, this establishes a motive as to why they're doing what they're doing. Loved it.
It was a really lovely effect for how they sort of, she gets halfway through the window into breaking in, they cut her in half and drag her off them. For people who didn't do the horror homework, do you want to just give like the quick synopsis for this scene and what she says?
Go for it. So they're communicating with this zombie, and she's actually like she understands, and she's responding in kind, and ultimately it goes to the point, like, why what is it you want? And she's like, brains. And it's like, why do you eat brains? And then she goes, pain. Like it stops the pain. So there you go. Like, that's why they're eating brains, because for some reason it stops them from hurting. And it's like, yeah, if they're not eating brains, then they're living in a constant state of pain, and it gets worse and worse as the longer it goes. And it's funny enough, like it's essentially like a dopamine hit for them. Yeah, it's I mean, again, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to have like a deep meaning or anything like that. But the fact that it just explains a very basic purpose for doing what they're doing. It's like, okay, I can understand their motives now. They just don't want to be in pain. You almost get a level of sympathy as well for them, which I mean, if you're not heartless like I am, then you could almost have a degree of sympathy for them.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting that they're going for the they do use a female zombie, I think, because they want use a woman to try and get a bit more sympathy. They're trying to activate that, and the fact that they have her very mouldy peaches on display means you really can't mistake her for a woman. God, it does look a bit Portland, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Crikey.
Definitely.
Anyway, also very interesting. Yeah, Murgu, absolutely. Anyone watching Life Force, very similar. Very similar poetry. So as she said, it does add this pathos. If they are dying, they are in pain, they can feel themselves rotting in its agony, and only brains takes the pain away. It's like that adds a really sort of unsettling horror to this.
It really does. It really does. And like I say,
it do be that way, John Gorris.
John.
It really do be that way.
But yeah, again, it just further demonstrates that they're just not mindless creatures. They have thoughts, they have feelings. They have a purpose, and they have motivations. They're not. They are the antithesis of Romero zombies. If that's the right word to use.
Oh no, I think antithesis is absolutely right. Yes, I'm not sure if it's the same people, but I believe it was the same production company, so very good chance that they worked with the same people. But I hadn't actually looked that up. But you could believe it, same director, same production company, very, very likely they use the same folks. Be an interesting one to know. So we got to that. I mean, we did sort of foreshadow the ending. As I highlighted earlier, the fact that they made all these changes means that, okay, the film starts slow. And that can be a bit difficult. I did find myself I struggle with the start of it. Even though there are nice touches, the pace does feel a bit slow for me. But the result of their decisions, i.e. fast zombies and they don't die, means that the film just gains this really powerful momentum.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Which, in a way, kind of writes them into a corner. But not really. I mean, everything flows logically, given the situation. You're going to end up absolutely overrun, and you've got the ending all set up here. As we said, this film has got really lovely setup and payoff. When they first go to the crematorium, Frank, the older of the original employees, just remarks in a kind of snide way, "Oh, I can operate the crematorium myself. Like, we don't need Ernie." And later that sort of explains how he is able to sort of operate it himself, to burn himself alive, to take himself out. It's like, it's a small detail, but there is lovely foreshadowing in there. And this one we're seeing from the very start. In case of emergency, call this number. And this is what they end up doing. You know, they've got no idea what to do. They can't fight the zombies. They can't get out of it. So the few survivors, including Enchilada Guy, get down to the basement. Tell you, baby, those damn enchiladas. They call the number. It's the most obvious thing. They were set up for it. What you got to do?
Yeah, makes sense.
But it is sort of, if you don't do this and get the very sudden ending of, the army just nukes Kentucky, then what you going to do? It gets you out of a problem, but that problem of where you take the story all flows logically from the world building. So it might seem silly, but it's a solid script and it's a solid story.
Yeah. Actually, just out of interest, chat for the specifically for the Americans in the chat. How do you feel about the government nuking Kentucky? Just out of interest, I'm just curious, you know.
Oh dear. It's I thought the effect on the bomb and on this. I mean, let's be honest, it's a little janky. It's janky.
It's very dated, isn't it?
I think we may be looking at models, TCG.
I think no.
I think we may be looking at models.
No,
sort of...
they definitely nuked Kentucky. Like, this is actual stock footage. This actually happened. Did you not see the little disclaimer at the start?
Of course. It did say.
It did say.
It did say it's all based on true events. Fair play.
And the internet didn't exist back then either, so you know, lies weren't a thing. So
that's true. Yeah. So it's interesting. We get a random montage. We just get some quick flashing by, I think, quite powerful images that are quite nice. But it is like the fates of the characters. In a way, this bomb is helping some of them out. Like, poor Ernie. Ernie did absolutely nothing wrong. He just wanted to operate his crematorium in peace.
Well, I mean, the only thing he did wrong really was leave the ladder just right underneath the elevator.
Of course, terrible ladder,
the attic door. That's the only thing he did wrong. Other than that, you know, poor geezer.
And he's about to mercy kill the girl who's going to get killed by her boyfriend. You know, he's a good lad.
I know.
Yeah. But yes, they're taken out. And I was, from Dan O'Bannon's interviews, it does seem like one of his ideas with this was to basically make sure you don't get sequels. I think, I mean, I can try and find it. I told you, Dan O'Bannon was not treated well by Hollywood. He did not like it. Okay, I've got the quote. So he was asked, where would you like to see the next Alien film head? Perhaps back to the more high-budget universe that you... And he interrupts the interviewer. He says, I'd like to see it stop. A horror movie is a fragile thing, and once you've gotten past the original, it isn't scary anymore. So you do a bunch of sequels to a horror movie, all they do is drain any remaining impact out of the original. All of the sequels to, for instance, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, same thing. They overexpose the ideas, and when you look at the original, it's not as effective as it would have been if you'd just left it alone. Now, obviously, we're going to disagree with him on Invasion of the Body Snatchers because those are all remakes, and the second is utterly amazing. But
he's definitely right about Alien, especially Alien 3. Man, Alien 3, man, it's not a bad film, but the fact that it undoes everything from the second one, which is arguably, you know, one of those films where the sequel could stands, alongside the first one at the very least, and it just completely undoes everything from it. Just winds me up so much.
Yeah, absolutely savage. Same producer on Alien 3 who completely screwed over Dan O'Bannon, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Alien, a chap by the name of Walter Hill. And they actually, well, maybe it's reading it in, but in Return of the Living Dead, Dan O'Bannon named the crematorium the Walter Hill Crematorium. And he has it run by a mid-century German, so I don't know, man. Maybe there's some symbolism there that I missed. I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't read too much into that one.
No. Gotta. Could be anything. Could be a random reading anyway. God, where was I going with that? So yeah, disagree on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but he's right. Yeah, Alien. I'd throw in Terminator. T2. We good.
Anything beyond T2 shouldn't really. I mean, right, hot take here, but you could argue T3. You could argue Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines is where it should have stopped. That's where you could argue that. I could make the. Well, not that I could make the argument, but that's just my personal opinion. You could perhaps stop it there. Not to say that T3 is a great film. I think it's very mid, but I think there was a you could see that it served a purpose. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I always wanted one with like John Connor actually in the middle of in like during the war, and I didn't like what we got.
Yeah.
So yeah, T1, T2, and maybe T3. I mean, but if it stopped at T2, I would have been delighted.
The setup to, like, I don't know, a third one, which is John Connor in the future setting up the first film, that would have been pretty sweet. I'd have gone for that.
Oh, Jay Weatherford, T2 was hot garbage.
Interesting.
That is an interesting take.
I don't think I've ever seen someone go against T2.
No.
We don't mind a controversial opinion here. We have plenty of them. I just let us know. Type a message. We'll be talking for a few minutes. I want to know your thinking. We're fans of this, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he makes a point. So part of what O'Bannon was doing is sort of logical. He has written himself into a corner logically. So yeah, nuke everything. It solves the problem. Ends. You go with some nice imagery. Although I will say there was an extra thing here that I wasn't a huge fan of. Do you recognise this guy?
Hey, is that?
It's a shot that they reused when they did the first round of all the zombies getting reanimated by the trioxin, coming back down via rain. This skeleton with its eyeballs unusually intact, improbably intact, was shown.
Right.
And they reuse it for the ending.
Ah,
I was like,
okay.
Gosh darn it, you cheeky lads, you cheeky little lads there. What are you doing reusing shots? You think we wouldn't notice? They didn't count on internet hyper focus. But,
T says, I like T2, but you can make a case that it was a family-friendly Disney-fied Terminator.
Interesting.
I would say the scene with I'd point to the scene where the T-1000 spears the foster dad through the milk carton and through the mouth. That's not very family friendly. In fact, if anything, that is the opposite of family friendly. You've got the bit where the security guard's getting his goes to that vending machine, and then the T-1000 sort of like clones him, and then does the old stabby in the eye.
Yeah.
That's pretty grim.
I thought the stuff in the asylum was some of the creepier stuff, like the guy who looks like Newman licking Sarah Connor's face always stuck with me. It's like,
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah.
That's a really nasty touch in the film. I can sort of see what they're going for there.
Oh no,
but-
definitely, yeah, because you can definitely. I can see that. I can see that.
All right, well,
Oh
we
man.
do appear to be at the end of the film. And I think I've oh, you know what? I did get this up because it's the only research book of mine that actually talks about it. So I thought I would just I thought I'd read to you Kim Newman's take on Return of the Living Dead,
Okay.
which really surprised me. I like Kim Newman. He caught me out here. He brings quite an intellectual approach to this, and I think he sort of goes out of his way to watch basically everything. So if you read his book Nightmare Movies, I've got the second edition here. He spends a lot of time talking about Spanish zombie movies, I think almost to sort of prove he watched them. But anyway, this is Kim Newman speaking. The pitfalls of the broadly comic approach, which entirely swamped the genre in the mid-1980s, are demonstrated by Dan O'Bannon's opportunist Return of the Living Dead 1985. Based loosely on John Rousseau's novel sequel to Night of the Living Dead, the film parodies Romero's vision, poking fun at some such conventions as the shoot 'em in the brain solution and the traditional slow, dim-witted dead. O'Bannon's zombies are fast-moving, fast-talking creatures who party in a graveyard and love to snack off freshly splattered brains. The living characters strap a half-zombie down and get it to explain that being dead hurts, but eating brains eases the pain. While it is funny in parts thanks to audacious characters like the Tar Man and oily tatterdemalion, whose catchphrase is "I want to eat your brains," and if you're wondering, folks, I had to look it up too. Tatterdemalion is ragged or disreputable in appearance, or being in a decayed state or condition. Don't feel bad, I've never heard that word before either. Or the nude punkette zombie, Linnea Quigley. Return of the Living Dead is a movie that is self-destructed by its cynicism. In the early reels, O'Bannon manages a few genuinely creepy, funny touches, as when the reanimating gas floods a medical warehouse and revives a case full of flapping, pinned-down butterflies and a cut-in-half and mounted dog.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that. That was brilliant. I love that.
That was
What is
pure
that?
fun.
What is that noise?
Half a dog.
Yeah. He like
love-
kicks it across the room or sort of like chucks it off with...
It's that wonderful, weird logic of the film being followed through.
He starts beating it over the head.
Oh, he just goes to town.
Yeah.
He's like Jolly and Morn on a fox. There's a Brit reference for you. But when he drags in a load of stereotyped punk rockers to be victimized and ladles inappropriate death rock music over its action, the movie gets too hip and spoofy for its own good. The finale suggests everyone has given up on taking anything seriously as a very downbeat twist finish. The authorities calmly nuke most of Kentucky to solve the problem is lost amid lazy repetition of footage and a general inability to do anything with a full head of steam that has been worked up. Bit mean.
Bit savage.
I don't go for it. I don't agree. I don't agree.
No.
I think that's a rare Kim Newman L there.
Just in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's an S. It's going to have to be an S in the chat for Kim Newman's take there. As we've shown, Return of the Living Dead, it's got a lot of inventiveness. It's got clever commentary. It bucks the trends. I think maybe Kim Newman didn't like the joke it was going for, which is fine. But and that's often the trouble I have with horror comedy is I think the comedy stops me investing as much. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, this is the thing, right? I watch horrors for horror, and I watch comedy for comedy. Sometimes you can get horror comedies that work quite well, but a large majority of the time, it's kind of like it's a hard balance, isn't it? It's a hard balance. You know, what do you want to be more? Do you want to be more horror? Do you want to be more comedy? I think in many ways this film, yeah, I mean it loses the horror side in more favour for the comedy and the comedic scenes, the little one-liners, and you know using the zombies in this film as more of a punchline than a threat. It kind of loses it a little bit there for me. It's a tricky one, horror comms.
It really is. It's a very tough pivot to make. I mean, probably everyone is thinking it, but Shaun of the Dead is probably one I'd go for one that's nailed it.
Yeah, definitely. That's one that stands out to mind.
Evil Dead 2?
Yeah.
But that does... It's heavier on scares, then spends a long time being horror comedy, and then it sort of pivots a bit more towards horror towards the end. And rather than sort of switching back and forth, but it definitely has the two sides in there. So I think he was harsh on that. It's a tough balance, and I think O'Bannon knew what he was doing. He definitely leaned towards the comedy a lot more.
100%, yeah.
But he's still got some good stuff in here.
Yeah. Like I say, from a visual perspective.
Yeah, we should have said this one.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. 100%. 100%. Yes. That's got to be one of the number ones there.
Yeah. But again, you know, visually, you know, these things look gory. You know, they look great. Although I will say you can see the string mechanism that stretches the jaw out, which I did notice as well at the end of this movie. And I was like, oh no, they didn't. Oh man.
That is the downside of our judicious use of screen caps, but
oh no, I noticed it at the end.
Oh, you did as well.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it until now.
No,
I was
noticed
mostly
it at the
just
time.
wondering why the heck is there eyeballs in the skeleton? You know.
Yeah, I mean that to be fair, that in and of itself is weird.
Gosh. Well, we should probably do our traditional wrapping up, giving closing thoughts and scores before we incur the wrath of Super Nanny. I tell you, I liked this on the rewatch a lot more than the first time I saw it. So chat, if you want to get your scores in now, much appreciated. We are using our patented out of 12 burger system. We'll never change it.
Never.
TCG, how about yourself? Do you want to lead off with closing thoughts and scores on Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, I'll try and keep this concise because I normally say that and then I'll just go off on a massive tangent. But I mean, I would say that this is perhaps, you know, I wouldn't say one of my favourite horror movies, but it's definitely up there in terms of getting the story right. In terms of I'm about to contradict myself, but trust me, there's a reason. The pacing on it is fine, because it does start slow, but it gradually builds into almost like a crescendo effect, where it's just all happening at one go. My only criticism is it does take a long time to get from first gear to second. That's my only gripe. About half an hour of the film, so you know you're a third of the film into it, and nothing really of significance has happened. But you know, other than that, it's an interesting perspective on zombies itself. You know, it's cool that they've managed to sort of stray away from the Romero sort of more popular image of zombies and sort of create their own sort of perspective. I would, in terms of burgers though, I mean, you got to throw in lots of ketchup, absolutely. Yes. The burger meat is definitely a little bit far gone, but you still want to eat it. I'd probably say this was like a good solid 8 out of 12 burgers for me. I would definitely watch it again. Definitely would recommend it. I say some of the things that knock it down for me a little bit though are the pace. I say the pace at not the pacing, but just the amount of time it took to get from first to second. that half an hour window at the beginning. And also they underutilized Tarman and Blue Barbie for me. Say they could have shortened that first sort of act from 30 minutes down to say 20, and you could have had like 2 good 5-minute like sort of end boss scenes with these two guys, with these two characters, I suppose. But yeah, it's cool. 8 out of 12 burgers, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I really like what you said about making the most of its more recognisable characters. I think that's a really solid area where it could have improved. Yeah, let's see. It was much better on the rewatch for me. I think Tarman is absolute standout for being an amazing zombie. The fact that it's just lots of creativity applied to the zombie concept, messing with the genre and then following the logic through, I really like that. Creative gore, and gore in a way that wasn't being done, so not the close-ups of the throats being ripped out, but just nice corpse shots of brains spilling out. Just even the gore is a bit original, and I like the sort of sardonic, satirical humor that's just littered throughout the movie. I like that sarcasm, the fact that they start off the movie with saying that they don't need to worry about the barrels that have been shipped there. You know, it's American Army engineering, and they smack it and everything goes to hell. You know, love that, love it. It's funny. Where I take points off is like, realistically, it's a horror comedy, so I find it a bit hard to invest. I don't really like any of the characters except for Ernie, who's kind of a sweetheart. Bert wins me over as well, as someone trying to keep it together. And I found sort of Miguel Nunez and Self-Delete were really quite fun. Some of the lines he got about no one takes him seriously cracked me up. But yeah, we could have got more consistent zombie makeup, or even if they don't all have to be Tarman or this guy, but just like try and avoid some of the really shoddy zombie makeup. And the other thing would be the pacing. It's a 90-minute movie, but sometimes it does feel a bit slow. So I don't know. I'm maybe a bit more generous. I think it's an 8.5 for me, maybe a 9, because I think it's got to be a 9. I think the writing is cleverer than a lot we see. We got some good foreshadowing in there. So yeah, I think I have to bump up for a 9 for some good foreshadowing throughout the movie. But ultimately, as I can't get a big emotional reaction, then that sort of puts a bit of a cap on the movie for me. But still, lots of fun. I think I would recommend this for anyone looking at zombie movies, so they have a real counterpoint to what the majority of the stuff is. Yeah, so it'd be 9 from me. And that's, we seem to be in line. I think chat is liking it a bit more. Lots and lots of 9s. Actually, quite a few 8s and some 10s.
11. There's an 11 there as well.
11, 12. Jay with an 11 out of 12. Yeah, that's a fair take from Jay. The effects do let it down in some places. Yeah, so pretty solid. I was really glad this was suggested. This was an audience request, and I'm very happy to do it when a member request, actually. So that's one of the other benefits you get when you join the channel as a member, is I will go out of my way to make sure we cover a film of your choice. Now, we are moving off into a new arc. We were meant to cover this last week, but illness worked against us. So we will be starting the May arc of films next week. And I'm delighted to say that we are going to be covering an underappreciated British director. We're going unusually modern for this channel. We're covering the work of Christopher Smith, a British director with great films and an incredibly bland name. And it once you realise it's the same guy who has done so many films that you enjoyed, it's quite special, and that's the reason I'm doing it. I watched one of his, which I absolutely knocked my socks off. It was in the top 10 films I saw that year, easily. And I wanted to know who directed it. And when I realised the same guy has been putting out consistently interesting horror movies for over a decade, I thought, okay, we've got to do an arc on this. So we're going to look at the films of Christopher Smith, and we'll be starting with Creep from 2004. And I need to stress, it's the 2004 Creep, not the one on Netflix about the guy with the wolf head mask, okay?
Hang on. Is this the one I think it is? Is this the train one? Is this
It's
the
the train
Underground?
one.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's a beauty, isn't it?
Oh my god, it's such a good film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hugely underrated. It's played very straight, but there are some really clever bits in as well. So it's just quality. Mima, which doc is that? Is that the Christopher Smith's doc? Help me out. But yes, we'll be doing that. So we're doing Creep. I think we're going to do Severance, which is a great laugh. And we are absolutely doing Triangle. If I can cram another one in, I'll give that a go. Because he's done quite a lot. That's very interesting. That is the horror homework. You're going to look at Christopher Smith's Creep from 2004. And I believe that is everything. We've shielded plenty. You guys have been lovely. You've been very generous as well. I really appreciate that. Video nasties. I don't think I have, but I will look at that. I'll look at that if I'm doing my, when I get to that bit of my BBFC history redos. All right. Thank you for the tip there, Nima. Much appreciated. All right, folks. Well, yeah, I believe that's everything. So massive thanks to you. You've been very generous. That's been much appreciated. And TCG, thank you as ever.
It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for having me on.
Yay. And everyone, join us tomorrow on TCG's channel. We're going to have fun. It's going to be the community quiz Golden Ball special. And that is tomorrow at 9 o'clock, isn't it? 9 o'clock UK.
Tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I'll put a community post once I've got the when I've got the stream ready. So yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, turn on all notifications, and yeah, I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible there tomorrow. I think, like I say, it's going to go one of two ways. I hope it's going to be a really fun one, but either way, I'm sure you guys will enjoy my boomerisms or the technical issues that will inevitably loom over me. So we'll just see how it goes.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We all like the chaos. You know, something I didn't say when we are going through this article at first, TCG.
Oh, yes.
Yoko's looking rough.
Oh, mate.
Thank you, chat. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
I'm going to go work out now.